In my conversation with Pastor Herman Hamilton titled Engage at the Level of Story, we explored how sharing stories can help people from different backgrounds and beliefs build trust and work together. He cited his experience in the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization, which showed that understanding one another's stories enabled them to move beyond labels to build a coalition and work together to transform healthcare in Massachusetts. What struck me is that the same principle applies to every leader. Whether you lead a business, nonprofit, church, or volunteer organization, understanding people's stories may be one of the most overlooked and most effective leadership practices. Jesus rarely saw people as categories. He saw individuals with unique backgrounds and experiences. Whether he was talking with fishermen, tax collectors, religious leaders, or a Samaritan woman at the well, he took time to understand people before trying to change them. We should do the same as leaders. People in all organizations are different. Each person brings a unique background and life experiences that have helped shape who they are and what motivates them. For me, understanding people's stories begins during the interview process. I have found that most leaders interviewing candidates for a potential position tend to focus on the candidate's resume, past companies, responsibilities, and accomplishments. Certainly, it's necessary to understand if a person is technically capable of performing well in the job in question. But as the CEO, I generally let others focus on the person's technical capabilities. I wanted to know more about them as a person. What experiences had shaped them? What values guided them? What motivated them? What principles would they never compromise? In other words, what were their core values? I looked for people who could work in a team because most things were accomplished in teams. And did they display humility and a willingness to do whatever was necessary within ethical boundaries to do their job? Those questions told me more about a candidate's long-term potential than another discussion of their resume. In addition, I learned over the years that attitude and character were often more important than technical ability. Skills can usually be taught. Character and attitude are much harder to teach. If people were technically capable, attitude and character usually determined whether they ultimately succeeded. And once a person was hired, I also found knowing their story was helpful. By wanting to know them personally, I was able better to lead, encourage, and motivate them. And importantly, it showed that I truly cared about them. Understanding someone's journey and experiences also helps us avoid one of leadership's biggest mistakes, and that is labeling people. It's easy to see someone as the difficult employee, the quiet one, or the high performer. But labels flatten people into stereotypes. Stories remind us that they're human beings with struggles, hopes, and gifts we may never see if we stop at the label. And I thought it was important for them to know my story, what motivated me, and how I envisioned the organization going forward. So I opened myself to answer any questions employees might have about the company or me. In company meetings, I often reinforced what was important to me and to their success as employees by discussing the company's core values and putting the values in the context of what was happening in the company at the time. Core values were a set of behaviors that we would never want to compromise. By keeping the company's core values at the forefront, I helped everyone better understand what was expected of them and what they could expect of me. It was a way of reinforcing the company's story. I also found it important to encourage openness and vulnerabilities in staff meetings and in one-on-one meetings. My first question in every one-on-one meeting was simple: how are you doing? My initial focus was not on what they were doing, but how they were doing. I was interested in them as a person, not simply as an employee. Too many leaders, I believe, immediately jump into deadlines, budgets, and deliverables. That's not the way of Jesus. He was most interested in the person. When leaders understand what's happening in someone's life, they become better coaches, better encouragers, and better decision makers. One of the greatest gifts a leader can give is to truly know the people they lead. When people know you care about them, not simply what they produce, they're more likely to trust you, grow with you, and commit themselves to a shared mission. Every person you lead has a story. The better you understand them, the better leader you will become. Jesus led by knowing people. As leaders, we can do the same. Next time, we'll explore 2 more practices of leading the Jesus way: radical empathy and the power of kindness. You can check out other podcasts in this series on skipvaccarello.com. They're also available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you very much.